ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु महाविद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। As we have been discussing, especially this last shatakam, which started from 13th chapter. So 13, 14, and 15, those three chapters that we saw already were the essence of Vedantic teaching. And that too, the last chapter called Purushottama Yoga was the essence that we have seen in details. Whereas when we look at the 16th chapter and 17th chapter, these two chapters are little different. So looks like Lord Krishna has gone out of his way. But in reality, it is not like that. In 9th chapter, verse number 12, it was discussed Moghasa Mogha Karmana Mogha Jnana Vichetasah Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakutim Mohinisita. The next verse Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakuti Masrita Bhajanti Ananya Manasah Bhajantanya Manasah Gyatva Bhutadim Avyayam. Actually, keeping with these two verses, now this 16th chapter. Then suddenly you may ask the question, why suddenly he brings 9th chapter? So you could have brought some other chapter, going back so long. So what is the purpose behind it? Because this chapter name is called Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. So we'll be seeing in details Daiva, what is Daiva, what is Asura, and we have to add Rakshasa also. So actually this chapter name should be Daivasura Rakshasa Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. So Rakshasa is being omitted here. Now, how, and after so many chapters, suddenly he brings this 9th chapter. So to understand this, so we have a beautiful way of looking at it. So we say very carefully, if you observe environment and types of plants are interconnected. Unless you are a Britisher. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Because Britishers, this eucalyptus and pine trees, they planted everywhere. In fact, in Himalaya, there is no pine tree. They destroyed Himalaya. Himalaya is in danger because of them. Sorry, I'm going out of the track. So, And eucalyptus also they brought, because eucalyptus was not in India. So they changed the environment because they wanted to live according to their way. So the environment, this is the point, environment and the type of plants are interconnected. You cannot grow a type of plant wherever you want. It needs its own conducive atmosphere. That's why, especially in India, I have in fact seen, we all have seen when we were studying in IIT. First few sandalwood trees were being planted. It did not grow, it took time. And as it started, they created the environment. And because of the sandalwood tree, slowly, the environment got changed and full of sandalwood trees. Because both are interconnected. So also, the goal of life and way of life. Last three chapters, 13, 14, and 15, there we saw the goal of life. But remember, the goal of life and way of life being interconnected, we cannot separate. They are closely related. Not only that, each one influences others. The goal of life influences your way of life. Your way of life also equally influences the goal of life. So when they influence each other, one cannot separate way of life and goal of life. If at all a person wants to separate way of life and goal of life, or wants to see separately, we call as bipolarity. Psychologically, we use the word bipolarity. You have to be very careful. And moreover, you can use the word, if you don't want to bipolarity, split personality. Or if you want to use very polished language, confused, diluted. Why I am using this word very carefully? That the example of the tree and atmosphere, how they are related to each other, so also my goal of life and way of life. So whatever goal I decide, in keeping with the goal, now the way of life has to be developed. It has to support. If the way of life does not support the goal of life, definitely there will be no goal at all. So that's why when we look at our life, everybody creates goal, but there is no way of life. Each one has got goal of life, but not way of life. So why it happens? Because the way of life predominantly, heavily influenced by, or you can say determined by, controlled by, directed by one's own character. Or you can use the word personality. Or you can use the word the makeup that you have created in and around you. So the makeup of an individual. Please be very careful is words today. So this is the problem with all. The problem. The way of life, again repeating very carefully, the way of life is predominantly, heavily influenced by, determined by, controlled by, detected by my character, personality, or the makeup of me. So that's why we say that the character, personality, and makeup determines the way of life. And when this determines my way of life, now I am fascinated or decided already some goal. Now there is a dichotomy, there is a conflict. And slowly I try to change the goal of life because I am not able to improve my way of life. Then I keep compromising. I have my sense of regret. I have my sense of loss. I have all sort of problems in life. So keeping all these things in mind, the Shastra divides people into different categories. Sometimes it divides into 4 categories, sometimes 3 categories, sometimes into 2 categories. So now here we can look at that people can be divided into 3 categories. So the first one is called Dvesha Pradhana Swabhava. So Swabhava means the character, personality. Pradhana means predominantly. Dvesha, dislike, hatred. So that means the person has some bitterness in him or her. Person does not know where did it come, whether it came from previous life or this life. So all the time starts with negativity. Husband is bad, wife is bad, children bad, parent bad, my childhood bad, society bad, government bad, road bad, neighbor bad, my life is bad. Anything and everything is bad. Because I cannot forget long back one beautiful incident happened. So one couple were supposed to come and see me, and that too for lunch. And I'm waiting. And they called me, Swamiji, already like no 11:40 we are reaching. I said, wow, before time. Fine. Then they said, we'll go to the temple. I said, okay, go. I'm waiting for them. 1 o'clock, 1:30. What happened to them? And I tried to reach. No, the fellow did not pick up the call. I said, okay, forget. Next day, I said, what happened? He said, don't ask me, Swamiji. What? Because we went to the temple hurriedly. So we thought of breaking a coconut because you cannot break inside. So we thought of breaking a coconut. So the coconut was bad. By mistake, I used the word as the coconut, so also my life. That's all. And the lady, what she did, don't ask me. With the hot sun, Chennai hot sun, taking the child, started walking on the road. I am running behind with the car, stopping the car again. Please come to the car. No. And almost 3 kilometers she walked on the road. Then on the road, I had to bend down, say, sorry, 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 physically bend down, managed to put her inside the car with the child. And this is not one incident. You look at your life also. When you are stubborn, when you are adamant, do you behave in that way or not? What you have decided, that is final. So this is something comes from the bitterness. So the bitterness that one has, either from previous life or in this life, the person does not know, but is very aggressive. So that means dvesha pradhana swabhava leads to krodha pradhana swabhava. The person will get angry unnecessarily. Most volatile person, short-tempered person, unreliable person. For no reason, the person will get angry. And sometimes the person himself or herself will not know that why I am angry, but will justify that my anger is right. It's a very dangerous situation. And we call them as Rakshasa. The word Rakshasa we use for them only. They are called Rakshasa. Do you know why? I remember now, I can share with you, okay? With due respect. In the house, especially, when the father comes, Abba, he has come now. So all the children go inside, go inside, go inside. So you have to protect yourself from your father, sometimes mother also, okay? So that means what? We say, Rakshati janaha asmat iti rakshasaha. So when everybody wants to protect one's own self from a given person, that fellow is called Rakshasa. Is it clear? So here he says, look, if a person is having this dvesha pradhana swabhava, krodha pradhana swabhava, that person cannot proceed in spirituality, cannot be a spiritual person. Clear? Now, the next type of people we call as raga pradhana swabhava. So because of liking, now the person has attachment. So the person is attached to many things, starting with name, fame. So anybody, anywhere, anything the person sees is fascinated and attached. And that person can never keep quiet. Always wants to achieve, wants to prove, wants to show up, wants everything. Because that person's life is, we say usually very carefully, I want to enjoy my life. In fact, that person doesn't have any goal at all. The goal is only enjoyment. Nothing else. So enjoyment is a primary goal. So to achieve or to enjoy, person does many things. Name, fame, this, that, all these things, just to enjoy, nothing else. So that means if that is the person, we call that person is called extrovert. And we call as them materialistic people. Because they are not behind materials, they are behind enjoyment. I'll give a beautiful story so that it becomes easier for you to understand. So there was a person who is like, raga pradhana subhava person. Person wanted to enjoy the life. Upabhoga, not upayoga. So went to a sadhu and requested, look, I want to live for longer. The sadhu said, look, by God's grace, you have everything. You have good family, you have good money, you have got good name and all these things. Don't think, no, my life is to enjoy. If I live longer, then only I can enjoy. So please bless me to live longer. Again, sadhu reminded him, don't ask this. Other than that, if you ask anything, I can help you. Don't ask this thing. No, I want to enjoy my life. Grant me longer life. Sadhu said, okay, tell me how many years? 200 years. Please rethink. No. Okay, granted. Now what happens? The moment person comes to know, that's why the arrogance comes when there is longer life. Or when you think you are permanent, the arrogance comes. Like when you go to any country, if you are not citizen, do you become part of any rally or anywhere? Do you show your arrogance? Only when you see you are citizen, permanent, then you start showing off your nature, okay? True color. However, let us not get into. So here, he started enjoying his life. And quickly, not quickly, due time, but it happened quickly, his youth passed away. Now slowly, family people, wife passed away. Then not able to eat many things. Yes, children started passing away in front of him, one after another. Many things happened. Now, having long life. Now, will the person be able to enjoy life or suffer? So, the enjoyment oriented person suffers, fluctuates. So, if I am a raga pradhana swabhava vyakti person, because of my attachment, I don't have any other choice. I will suffer. And we say this materialistic people, sometimes they are called fundamentals, fanatic. And these people definitely are not fit for spirituality. They are not spiritual, they cannot be spiritual. Because why? They don't want, they cannot follow the culture. Because they think following culture is a dogma, is a fundamental, is a fanaticism. Like in India, it's very unfortunate. Putting ladies kumkumam is considered now is bad in the schools, in the colleges. Because if a person does not follow the culture, cannot have, please understand, a goal. Impossible. Especially the culture is completely connected to what? Is non-materialistic culture. Remember this point very carefully. Hinduism is only culture in the world that is connected to non-materialistic culture. Whereas all other culture, connected to materialistic world. That's why one has to follow the cultural practices, or else difficult. And if the person does not follow, that person is called Asura Swabhava. So the first was Rakshasa, second become what? Asura. So what is Asura? The word Asura explains, because Rakshas was about Rakshati Janaha Asmatiti. So from that person, everybody wants to protect one's own self. Whereas Asura means what? Asusu Ramate iti. So the one who revels, engages one's own self in Asu. What is Asu? Indriyesu, Pranesu, one's own sense organs. So to satisfy my energy, my prana, because they'll say, oh, it's energy, or sense organs, the person keeps engaged. That's why this person keeps fluctuating. That's why the person sometimes good, sometimes bad. Like Ravana. Ravana was not Rakshasa. He was Asura. He was good in many times. But what was his primary concern? The primary concern was what? To enjoy life. Being engaged in one's own sense organ. Now, that category people also not fit, not eligible, not seekers. So that's why this is not healthy either. I'll take few more minutes. And the third category is called Jnana Pradhana Swabhava. So Jnana Pradhana Swabhava means what? They are called as Deva Swabhava people. So they are divine. That's why our cultural practices, especially in India, everything is related to jnana. That's why we start lighting a lamp. Without lighting a lamp, we don't start anything. We don't do anything. Even if so-called fundamentalist, so-called secularist, when they want to talk against Hinduism in the function, they will light a lamp. Without lighting a lamp, nothing happens, because lamp is connected to knowledge. Lamp represents knowledge. In a house, day never starts without a lamp. If a house day starts without a lamp, that is not a house. Remember this. That home cannot be considered a home either. Because that means you are not interested in knowledge. You are interested in enjoyment. So that's why the third category, we use the word, they are called knowledge oriented people. And only they are the seekers. And those people, you will, if you observe, only will have consistency in each and everything. They will look for knowledge. And their way of life will support the goal of life. Or else, goal of life is one, way of life is entirely different. And only regret, frustration, all sort of complications. More of it we'll see. Om Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.